Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlotte and I love all things craft and zero waste. Today I wanted to do a tour of my plants in my house, since there's one featured in my background here for most of my videos, and I realized I actually have a lot of plants and I'm really proud of them and I really like to care for them. So I wanted to give you a little tour of all the plants that I have. I live in a flat. Disclaimer, so there's not a huge amount of space. I don't have any outdoor space, so they're all indoor plants. They mostly sit on my windowsill, anywhere by the window really, but I have a couple of varieties, so I hope you enjoy. I wanted to start with this one as it's behind me in the most videos. This is my rubber plant and I got it off Patch Plants a couple of years ago and it's been doing really well. This is my Monstera plant. I think I bought it off Etsy a couple years ago and I recently repotted it to include this moss pole. So I'm trying to make it grow around it. I'm not trying to force the leaves too much into the pole, but yeah, it's been gaining a lot of new leaves and then it has a lot of aerial roots as well, so I really enjoy this plant. This is a fiddle leaf fig and it's getting pretty tall now. I bought this from my sister who couldn't have it anymore because she has kids and she was worried that they might dig in the soil or knock the plant over. So I bought it off her and I'm loving it. This is my spider plant, which was gifted to me a couple months ago by a friend, and it was quite small to start with and it's already grown a lot. The leaves have grown a lot bigger and it has a couple little baby spiders already, so very happy about that. Then here you've got my experimental pineapple plant. So this is just the top off a pineapple that I bought from the shop once, and I just cut off the stem and I put it in water for a while to let it grow some roots, and now I've put it in some soil. I have no idea if this will work out, but let's see how it goes. This is my devil's ivy, which has been doing really well. I also recently repotted this into a bigger pot and I bought some bamboo sticks and I'm trying to wind it all the way up so it's kind of growing upwards, and I'm hoping to reach the top soon and then make it more bushy so it kind of hides the bamboo. I'm really happy with it. I do have another devil's ivy, which I'll show you now, that is actually growing down. Before that one, I actually want to show this plant, which is actually made of crochet. I made this a while ago, basically some kind of crochet vine. There are two different vines. They're actually, in the pattern that I had, there were kind of 5 different vines that you can make, and then you have this little ball at the top, which is supposed to be brown in color because it's supposed to be a soil ball. I think they're macadamas, these kind of soil balls that grow and then the vines grow out of them, but I've just made one of crochet, which I thought was really snazzy. Here's a quick look at the other devil's ivy, which is actually hanging from a hook. So it's kind of going downwards and it's already reaching the floor. So I need to think about maybe how I can curl it a bit better on the wall. Next we have the OG plant. This is my Pothos, which is the first plant that I ever got, and it's from Patch Plants. And it's been with me through this flat and my previous flat, which only had kind of one window ground floor, so it really did not have a lot of light. And so I bought this because it did well in kind of dimmed rooms. Yeah, it's still growing and I've propagated it a couple times. So I just taken a couple of stems from the root, taken a couple of branches with root off, and I've repotted them. I think I've done that 2 or 3 times already, so he's doing really well. Over here we've got an air plant, which my partner gave me a couple months ago, and it's massive. He bought it massive already, so I think it's done a little bit of growing at the top, but I'm really liking it, and it's just sitting there on the table. Yeah. This is a fern, also doing great. He loves to be sprayed with water, so I'm constantly kind of misting it, as well as the Pothos one. They both like to be sprayed a lot, so that one's doing nicely. And now we come to a little more experimental plants. This is a red pepper plant that I planted from seed last year, and I planted, so I just bought a red pepper from the shop and I planted a couple of seeds, and this one has sprouted. It did give me some small peppers last year, and now it's giving me another one. They're only small, but it will turn red once it's ripe. Hopefully, maybe it'll grow a bit bigger this time. But yeah, it's really fun growing these plants from seed, especially if I just buy it from the shop and, I try to see what happens. So this one's another experimental plant, and I only discovered this plant recently as it was kind of growing next to another plant because I dig up my compost and I start to kind of use it to repot other plants. And often you get these sprouts of random plants that come up through the compost because it's kind of filled with all this random seeds from the compost. And sometimes if it grows a lot, I repot it and make it its own thing. And this one, I actually took a picture of it. I didn't know what it was. And apparently it's a cherry tomato plant. And it just grew out of nowhere. So I've got it in its own pot now, and I'm waiting to see what happens. This window does get a lot of light, so I'm hoping somehow this will give me tomatoes. And right next to it, we have my wonderful avocado tree. I'm really excited about this. This was another accidental grow because it was literally growing out of the compost bin. And I have a couple of little avocado plants that literally just grow out the bin because I just throw those avocado seeds in there. So I carefully extracted it from the bin and repotted it in this pot. And when you repot it, it kind of goes through a little bit of trauma. It loses all its leaves, but it does regrow. And I have already trimmed it once in an effort to try and make the stem a bit wider. But yeah, it's been doing really well. And avocado trees, I don't know, how it will do, but they say they grow really quickly, kind of a meter or so a year, I think. So let's see. This is potentially really exciting. So this is not really a plant, it's dried eucalyptus branches, which I once bought from a flower stand. And yeah, I just like to put them, so I decorated these old wine bottles and I painted them white and a different color, and then I've just stuck it in there. So these are just kind of dried plants, dried branches that, I really like, and it gives off, a faint eucalyptus smell, so it is nice. And this one is another patch plant that I bought a couple of years ago, and his name is Rick, because that's what Patch called him. He's a corn plant, and yeah, he just does his thing. He doesn't move much, he doesn't grow much. I think they're very slow growing plants, but he hasn't died yet. He's kind of just happy chilling where he is. So let's just let him be. And now we come to the kitchen. This is where I've got my basil plants, and there's a bunch of little seedlings that I'm just trying to grow. I've just planted a couple seeds. There's another tomato plant there, and then some other devil's ivy plants I've propagated. So this is just my little nursery, and it's kind of right in the kitchen where I can keep an eye on him. And finally, my aloe vera plant, which sits in the bathroom, and yeah, he also just does his thing. I think it's grown a couple new leaves, but I'm not sure because it's quite slow. But he seems to be happy, so there we go. So that was my little tour. I hope you liked it, and I might do another one if those tomato plants actually bear any fruit, or if anything else cool happens. But yeah, I'm really into my plant growing. I one day want to have a kind of kitchen garden. If I ever have a proper garden, outdoor garden, then I'm going to go full out into vegetable garden vibes. Just everything. I want to grow everything. My vision, my dream is to be kind of this self-sufficient little home bubble where I kind of grow as much as my own food as I can. One day, I have to have dreams, but for now I just have these indoor plants and I experiment with just planting some random seeds and seeing what comes out. So, hope you liked it. See you.